What's up everybody, Xery here from Xery's Mobile Gaming. Today I'm going to give you a quick 10-minute guide to runes. I've been working on this, but before I get started, if you're liking what you see, please give me a like, please give me a subscribe, trying to grow the channel here. Also want to give a big shout out to beadragonchamp.info. A lot of great information there, link in the description below. Found a lot of what I'm putting into this video in that. So without further ado, let's get started. So basically your runes here, as you can see by the blue arrow, they unlock at level 15. Once you hit level 15, you'll be able to get your rune amulet and your runes started. So what you need to understand is you need to know about your runes. Each rune can be a varying rarity. Alright, there's a gray rune, which is your common, and it'll have one dot above it. Each dot represents the quality of the rune. Green is an uncommon rune. Blue is a rare rune with 3 dots. Purple is an epic rune with 4 dots. And orange is a legendary with 5 dots. Alright. Each rune has a primary stat, and it has 4 secondary stats, regardless of the color, regardless of the rarity. The primary stat is represented by the blue arrow right over here, and the secondary stat is represented by the yellow arrow right here. Primary stats are always shown regardless of the mod level of rarity. So what that means is if you have a gray mod, it's only going to show you just this. But if you have a legendary one, it's going to show you all your secondary stats. And secondary stats can be shown depending on the rarity of the rune. And the higher the rarity of the rune, the better the stats will be. A 2-dot primary stat is better than a 1-dot primary stat, and so on and so on and so on. So within your runes, they have what they call rune word sets. Rune word sets are, there is defense, damage, crit chance, tenacity, potency, speed, and health. Alright, by equipping the required number of the rune set, which is the blue arrow over here, you will receive that set bonus, which is in yellow. So if you put on 2 armor sets here, you get 20% armor. Now if you fill up your rune, which has 6 slots, with 3 armor sets, you get plus 60% armor. So you can mix and match, and you can figure out, like there's critical chance, critical damage, you can put in health and armor, things like that. So equipping the correct rune set on the correct character can give them a significant boost in their stats. And what I mean by that is you don't want to put on speed sets onto a tank because you want him to taunt for as long as possible. So you want to make sure you're matching those up. You don't want to try to put armor sets on a DPS character. You want damage or crit chance or crit damage, things like that. So this is how you can tell what your mods are doing for you. You can see the difference. The white number is your character's full stat. So right over here, you can see my Tromgar has 10,257 health. Well, he gets 2,205 of those came from the runes that I have on him at the making of this video. So if you go through on your stat button, you can see where you're getting the improvement and what's going to benefit your character the most. You can mix and match, you can play. And what's nice is to take off a rune on a character in this game is only 500 gold. So you can play around and you can see which one's the better. So just in case if you didn't know, damage is either physical or magic, and depending on your character and the type of damage they deal, damage can also be affect health given. That's huge because in this game, a lot of the healers, they heal based off their magic damage. So you want to, whereas in other games, hero corrector games I've played, they are based off like their max health or things like that. So we'll get into that in a little bit of how you want to check your character. Crit chance determines your crit chance for most abilities. Your crit damage is the amount of extra damage or healing from critical effects. Your armor, again, either physical or magic, reduces the amount of damage from those effects. So you could pump up your physical armor and you will take nothing against melee, but then you could get shredded by magic. So you gotta play that with who you're fighting and what you're going up against. Potency is the chance to apply combat effects to the enemies. So if you can apply bleed and you have a higher potency, you have a better chance of doing that. Tenacity is the chance to resist combat effects. So if you want to stack that on your tank, so that way he doesn't get ability blocked or things like that. And obviously, health, shield, speed, and accuracy are pretty self-explanatory. They're just that. They're your health, they're your shield, how fast your character goes, and how accurate your attacks are. But remember, the primary stat on your rune can never show up as a secondary stat. I learned this from beadragonchamp.info. Again, huge page, check it out. So in this rune, you can see here that I have an armor percent main primary stat of 5.2%. Now, in my secondary stats, that armor percent is not going to show up down there, but you can have the baseline stat. So I can have an armor plus 49. If you have the question of what's better, percentage or baseline, I strongly recommend you go to beadragonchamp.info, and they do a fantastic job of breaking it down. I can't even begin to go into how they broke it down. They have equations, they have stats. I can tell you what they said, and that is basically if your character is below a certain point for different ratings, so, and I believe one of them is like 8,000, you want the base number. If you are above that 8,000, you want percentage. So it's really confusing. They do a great job of breaking it down, so please go check that out. So this is your rune amulet, guys. This is where you hold your runes, and it consists of 6 runes. You have your north rune, your northeast rune, your southeast rune, your south rune, your southwest rune, and your southeast rune. So in your north rune, it can only have one primary stat. Regardless of the rarity of that mod, you're only going to have one primary stat in there, and that is damage percent. Now in the northeast rune, you're going to have a total of 6 primary stats that you could receive that come on random. They are damage percent, armor percent, shield percent, health percent, and then accuracy and speed. Accuracy and speed as a primary stat can only be found on your northeast rune. Southeast rune. Your southeast rune has only one primary stat that you can receive, and that is armor percent. The south rune has 6 primary stats. Again, you could get damage, armor, health, and shield percents, but you could also get crit chance and crit damage percent. Their primaries can only be found on your south rune. Southwest rune. The southwest rune has 2 primary stats that you can receive, shield percent and health percent. The northwest rune has a total of 6 primaries, again the damage, armor, health, and shield percents, but then it also can give you a primary of potency and tenacity. Again, those can only be found on your northwest rune. Leveling your runes. All runes start at a level 0. Okay, and depending on the rarity of the rune, they show you certain secondary stats. Like here, this is a green uncommon rune, all right, and it's going to show me 1 secondary. So this is a primary of, since it's northwest, it has the primary of damage. All right, we have an armor right there. So as we level it up, you take it up to level 4. Okay, you're going to boost your primary stats. So I took it from 0.5% to 0.72%, and it showed me the secondary stat. You take it up to level 8, it bumps up your primary stat, and then it shows me my 3rd secondary stat of tenacity. Then you take it up to 12. Again, we have a bump in the primary stat, and my 4th and final secondary stat is revealed at damage. Now, if you take it up to 16, now your mod is at full strength. All right, you have your max primary stat, and since this was an uncommon mod, and we already show, or rune, and we already showed 1, that means a secondary stat is going to give another bump, so damage got bumped again. Now, just a quick tip or a pointer, if you are going to level a rune to see what's on there, only take it to level 12 and save yourself some gold. If you take it to level 12, you don't have to take it to level 16 if you don't like all the secondary stats that are on there. And then make sure, guys, you're checking your characters. As you can see here, this is Mortha. She's the healer for the Orc clan. And as I was talking about earlier, go into the character you want to rune and read their abilities. Because right here it says heals the target ally for 260% of Mortha's magic damage. So that means you want damage as primary and secondary stats on this character, because that means you're going to heal for more. So always read the character you're going to do. And just as a rule of thumb, real quick, guys, for certain classes, they benefit. Tanks, you want health, shield, armor, and tenacity, and you want to avoid speed. Healers, you want damage, speed, health, shield, crit chance, and crit damage. And DPS, you want damage, speed, crit chance, and crit damage. If your DPS can apply a debuff, you also want to put potency on there. So there's my 10-minute rundown, guys, on runes. It took me a while to create this video. Hope everybody liked it. Hope you have a great day. You know, it's Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. Get out there. Have fun. Be safe. I'm out.